Thanks, Karine. I wanted to follow up on a previous question that was asked, and respectfully, you didn't quite answer it. The question was, why hasn't the president been more forceful in talking about the protest? You talked about how he's talked about anti-Semitism, but specifically on the protest, why hasn't the president been more forceful on that?
And I hear the question, Gabe, but respectfully, the president has been, no other president has spoken about anti-Semitism than this president.
But that's not the question, it's the protest.
And I'm answering it in the way that I believe is the best way to answer your question, which is the president has been very, very clear. He's been clear about this. He's taken action. He put forth a strategic plan to counter anti-Semitism, more than 100 new actions, and not just taking actions, but is actions that across the administration. This is a whole of government process, right? We have the Department of Homeland Security that's involved. We have the Department of Education that's involved. We want to make sure that we are dealing with this, not just words, not just speaking out, but taking action. And so, look, the president is going to continue to monitor this. Obviously, he's going to continue to get regularly updated on this. We have spoken from this administration. You've heard from the vice president. You've heard from the second gentleman. You've also heard from this president who's taken questions on this. And what we believe, and we're very clear on this, is that peacefully protesting within the law is something that every American should have the right to do. And we are also going to call out any type of anti-Semitism that we are hearing, that we are seeing, the hate. That's something that we have done, not just throughout this administration. This president has done that throughout his political career, and we're going to certainly continue to do that. And so, look, that's where we stand. I think that is a very forceful place to be when we say we have taken action. We have taken action here.
You mentioned that the president is taking questions on this. Again, respectfully, he hasn't. He did take a question where he said he condemns those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. I know you've been asked about that, but since you brought up Charlottesville, what do you say to those critics who say that he is trying to have it both ways, that he's essentially, trying to talk about both anti-Semitism and what's going on with the Palestinians?
I would say to those critics is no, he's not doing a both sides scenario here. When you think about Charlottesville, you think about the vile anti-Semitism that we heard on the streets of Charlottesville, right here in Virginia, right, not far from here. The president and many of us wanted to make sure that was called out. Somebody died. A young woman lost her life. And when the president saw that, it put him in a situation, or he believed it was the right thing to speak against that. He wrote an op-ed that was in the Atlantic because about that. He decided to run because of what he saw in Charlottesville. And that was just vile, nasty rhetoric. And you had, former president talk about both sides. There was no both sides here. None. Absolutely none. As it relates to the Palestinians, he was talking about the dire humanitarian situation that we're currently seeing. I just mentioned Secretary Blinken is going to be talking about the humanitarian aid that we are trying to get into Gaza for the people of Gaza. We're trying to get this hostage deal done so that we can get hostages home and create an environment to get humanitarian aid that would lead, also the hostage deal would lead to a ceasefire. Those things are not the same. They are just not the same, fundamentally not the same. And it is in bad faith. It is in bad faith to say that.